Indeed, I would say it is worth the money. It is about the rule of law. It is about...
In two cases.
It is about ensuring that there is accountability. And it is not really about the number of convictions. It is important, of course, to have convictions. But what is more important is the impact that the court has had so far in its infancy.
Okay, but I want to talk to you about the impact it's had, because it stopped none of the global war crimes, a number of which seem to be going up and up. We've had Israel, Palestine, Sudan, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, Egypt, Ukraine. No deterrent effect whatsoever visible from your court.
I beg to differ. I think that we should not be judging the court and its performance because atrocities.
What else can we judge it on?
Because atrocities are still being the court's performance, because the atrocities continue to be committed. If you take, for example, at the national level, the criminal justice system has been existing for several years, but it hasn't stopped people from committing crimes. So this should not be the measure in which the ICC is judged. It should be looked at for the preventive impact that it has had, and I believe it has had this, because the court is not only for investigating and prosecuting war crimes, but it also should have this preventive impact.
I understand, but we just listed the number of countries where it hasn't prevented anything from happening. And if we just take Egypt, for instance, August 2013, we had perhaps the largest single-day massacre of demonstrators in a single day in recent history, according to Human Rights Watch, according to other human rights groups. Your court, and I gather you gave a number of procedural reasons why your court couldn't get involved in this, but your court had nothing to say about this, nothing to say whatsoever about one of the most serious crimes to take place on your watch. Why is that?
We have, Tim, to remember that the court operates based on jurisdiction. The jurisdiction that we have, and we have to follow strictly this legal mandate according to the Rome Statute.
Then the statute is no longer fit for purpose, is it? If it can't prevent the largest single-day massacre in recent history, or have anything to say about it afterwards, or follow up with any investigation, then it's not fit for purpose, is it?
I do believe it is still fit for purpose for those who have signed and ratified the Rome Statute and are members of the International Criminal Court. This is what we should remember, that the ICC cannot operate in situation where we do not have jurisdiction.
What would have prevented you, Madam Prosecutor, of saying, for instance, we have reason to believe there has been killing on a massive scale, and we are watching this in case it falls within our jurisdiction later on, or the Security Council refers it to us. You could have said that. You could have said something to show that you're watching, you're aware, because you're the court of last resort in this world today.
I do not think that it is my mandate or falls within my mandate, or it's my responsibility to make pronouncements in all and every situations where these atrocity crimes have been committed.
This isn't all and every. This is one of the most serious.
I believe it's very serious, and I know that I know it's very serious, and I do know that again, innocent people have suffered, victims. I am aware of that, and I would decry anytime that these kind of crimes have been committed. But as a prosecutor of the International Criminal Court, I have to know where I can speak out or where I cannot. Where I do not have jurisdiction, I do not think it is proper for me to make pronouncement regarding that.
Small wonder then that people are losing faith in this court, and they are losing faith in this court, aren't they? You said that over Sudan and Darfur, you actually told the Security Council that countless victims have been demoralized, didn't you? You said, after all, who can blame them when attaining justice appears so remote? Not the least because of the absence of adequate follow-up and support from the Security Council. You went to the Security Council, you pointed a finger at them, and you said you're letting down the victims. But you're letting them down in all these other countries as well, aren't you?
Where we have jurisdiction. In Sudan, we were giving jurisdiction, or we were... The situation was referred, if you may allow me to just respond. The situation in Darfur, as you know, was referred to the to the ICC by the UN Security Council. And this gave us the mandate to be able to intervene in that situation and exercise that mandate.
But you failed,
but
nonetheless.
I do not believe that we have failed. I do not believe. What I have been emphasizing to the UN Security Council is that since they referred this situation to us, to the ICC, they also have a responsibility to support us in the investigations and prosecutions that we are undertaking in Darfur. And when I refer to the victims, I'm referring to the victims of the crimes that were committed in the Sudan.
You say this isn't a failure, but you actually told the Security Council year after year, victims' hopes and aspirations for justice and a durable peace have been dashed. These are your words.
This is true. This is true.
And this is a failure on a grand scale, isn't it?
I believe, Tim, we're taking this out of context. As I said, the situation in the Sudan, in Darfur, was referred to the ICC by the UN Security Council.
I understand this, but you're part of a system that has failed.
They have a responsibility, the UN Security Council, to support the ICC, to support the Office of the Prosecutor in the investigations of this case. And they are not doing that. I therefore will have to keep on reminding them that that responsibility, that duty is theirs. What we are supposed to do...
But my point is, you're part of this system.
What we are supposed to do... I don't disagree with that. What we are supposed to do as an Office of the Prosecutor is to investigate these crimes. This is our responsibility. When the referral was made to us, we investigated these crimes under very difficult circumstances. As you know, the Sudan has not agreed to cooperate with the ICC, and we had to investigate without going to Sudan.
I understand this.
And that was our responsibility.
But the result...
Our responsibility is to investigate.
But the result is, as you put it, the frustration and resignation of the victims in the face of inaction must weigh heavily on our collective conscience. And my question to you is, does it weigh on your conscience too?
I think I've said that. I've been loud and clear in saying that. It does, because this is a system. The court cannot work alone. The court needs cooperation. The ICC needs support from its member states. This is how it was set up to work.
So I say the system is no longer fit for purpose. You went before the Security Council, Madam Prosecutor. You accused them of empty promises. You accused them of inaction in the face of indiscriminate killings. And they didn't even blush. They simply thanked you for coming. That was the response that you got. Why go on with this farce?
I think it is still my responsibility. That should not discourage me. The court was set up, the office was set up to do just that, to investigate and prosecute. In this particular instance, when we got a referral, and after making our own analysis that we should investigate into this situation, we have continued and have been committed to this. From the very beginning, we have continued to work on this file. We have continued to attempt to give victims a voice.
I understand.
Continued, and that is what we have done.
But in Darfur, you have victims who have no voice.
If I may just complete, what we were supposed to do, I believe, in the situation in Darfur, we have done. We have been fully committed to it, and we've been doing it from the beginning.
What comfort is that to the victims?
We have
that you have followed procedures. What comfort is that to the victims?
We have requested, as you know, we've requested for several arrest warrants.
But I'm looking at results, so you're looking at procedures. I'm looking at the result. It doesn't make any difference to these poor people who are suffering indiscriminate killings and abuses, whole range of abuses, that you have followed the procedures. That's no comfort to them. The results are a comfort, and the results, have you said, I think the system has let them down.
I think that when I referred to the UN Security Council this situation, when I spoke to the UN Security Council, it is to remind them that we have a collective responsibility, which we all must do. Not one side doing its part and the other not doing its side.
But you can remind them until the cows come home and nothing changes.
That is not
year after year, you've reminded.
Of course, as time goes on, we'll have to reassess. what positions and what actions we will
It's
take.
time now to reassess. How many more people have to suffer?
I think that by abandoning the case, if that is what you're implying, I don't think that is the result of what we should do. We should continue with the efforts to see how we can convince those who should support us, in this case the UN Security Council, to support the ICC. Because I keep reminding that our responsibility, our part of the bargain in this case have been done. And I said it has been, and I think it has been fully done, and that is to investigate the cases and to come out with arrest warrants. The execution of those warrants is not the responsibility of the ICC. You must remember that. We were set up not to execute warrants.
I understand that, but you're taking responsibility for just a tiny portion of this.
That is our duty.
I understand that.
That is the obligation we have.
Your court is defined not by its possibilities, but by its limitations. You have no police force. You have no enforcement mechanism.
Yeah.
You have no support in the Security Council, it seems. Powerful forces against you there. 3 out of 5 of the permanent members, the most powerful members, are not even parties to the Rome Statutes. And your warrants are dismissed around the world and not executed by people who have signed binding international agreements to execute them. They're not worth the paper they're written on, are they?
I believe this is incorrect, because we have issued several arrest warrants, and some of them have been executed. Some of them have been executed. But
some of the most important haven't. President al-Bashir of Sudan, for instance.
I do not think any one warrant is more important than another, because they are charged with atrocity crimes, war crimes, crimes against humanity, and genocide. Their positions or their official capacity does not matter.
Let's look at President al-Bashir.
What matters is that those crimes have been committed. We've investigated. Just recently, serious crimes have been committed in Mali with respect to the destruction of property. And Niger and Mali work very closely to surrender that individual.
You don't want to talk about President al-Bashir of Sudan, because he travels freely around the world despite your warrant to have him arrested. The latest place he went was South Africa. You told the South Africans to arrest him. They refused to do so. This is a huge blow to your credibility, isn't it? Huge blow.
This I disagree. This is not a blow to the credibility of the ICC.
Again, they simply ignored your warrants.
Again, I must say that this treaty, this court is about duties and responsibilities among states parties and by the court, and by states parties themselves. Again, our responsibility is to investigate the case, request for arrest warrants, and the judges have issued those warrants.
And we need to take your authority seriously, which they didn't do, did they? They didn't take your authority seriously.
South Africa has the responsibility, has the obligation under the statute, has the legal duty to arrest when there is a fugitive on its soil.
Which they have that responsibility. And you were deeply disappointed.
I am disappointed.
Deeply disappointed. And with the Security Council that took no action either.
I am disappointed. And what we were supposed to do again, with respect to that, I believe the court has done. But what is positive in this, Tim, you have to remember, is that the South African judicial system itself took up the responsibility to oblige the authorities to arrest.
You're like the surgeon who comes to a patient. The patient dies, and you're saying, "But it was a great operation. It was a great operation. We did a great job, but the patient died."
I do not.
You didn't get the result you wanted.
I do not.
This was a failure for the ICC.
It is not a failure for the ICC, because that responsibility.
Your warrant was ignored.
No, that responsibility is not ours. We did not ignore the warrant. It's South Africa that has an obligation.
They don't take your warrant seriously. This is a big problem to your credibility.
I think it is a simplistic way of looking at things. It is really not actually the fault of the ICC, because I tried to explain to you that the ICC was set up like that. We don't have these powers, and you have recognized it. We don't have the powers of arrest.
You had in Africa 34 countries, I think, that signed up to the Rome Statute.
Yes.
And now you have Africans, time and again, African leaders saying, this court isn't for us. We had President Museveni of Uganda, saying at the end of 2014, I supported the court at first, he said, but they've turned it into a vessel for oppressing Africa, so I'm done with that court. Kenyan Foreign Minister, they're treating us like toddlers. Africa feels marginalized. On your watch, you as an African, you're losing Africa. You're losing Africa's participation in this court.
I don't think I am.
That's a central blow to the credibility